In January 2013, a typical 17-year-old student named Kendrick Johnson walked into his high school gym. He never walked out. His discovery inside a rolled-up wrestling mat sparked a forensic debate that has divided experts, law enforcement, and his family for over a decade. The location was Lowndes High School in Valdosta, Georgia. This image shows the actual gymnasium floor where it happened. Students entering the gym that morning found his body positioned in the corner of this massive open space. He was found head down inside a vertical, tightly rolled wrestling mat. The opening at the center of that roll measured just 14 inches across. The physical geometry of the scene immediately presented a problem. A broad-shouldered teenage athlete wedged perfectly upside down inside a narrow cylinder contradicts the physical expectations of a standard accidental fall. Local law enforcement arrived and quickly secured the gymnasium doors to process the area. Within a short window, police formulated their official theory. Kendrick had dropped a shoe into the center of the mat, climbed up to retrieve it, and accidentally slipped inside. His family resisted this conclusion. They argued the physical mechanics of that explanation were practically impossible for a high school athlete to execute without being able to extract himself. The state officially closed the case. His family claimed it was a cover-up. For the next 10 years, those two distinct realities would remain locked in a bitter standoff. The state's initial autopsy backed the police theory. The official cause of death was ruled an accident. To understand the state's logic, we have to look at the exact mechanics of the proposed fall. The theory assumes he slipped headfirst into the cylinder, pinning his arms against his sides, leaving him suspended upside down with no leverage to pull back up. This leads to a medical condition called positional asphyxia. When a body is trapped in a tight inverted angle, the sheer weight of the internal organs presses down on the diaphragm. The lungs physically lose the space they need to expand, cutting off oxygen. Because the initial medical examiner noted zero signs of a struggle or external trauma, local authorities officially closed the investigation. The medical logic of positional asphyxia makes sense on paper, but for independent investigators looking at the physical proportions of the boy and the mat, the textbook explanation ignored glaring circumstantial realities. Unsatisfied, the Johnson family secured a court order to exhume their son's body months later and hired a private pathologist for a second autopsy. This second, granular examination revealed something entirely different. The private pathologist found a localized area of blunt force trauma at the base of the right neck, an injury absent from the state's report. Then they uncovered a jarring detail of the investigation. During the exhumation, they discovered Kendrick's internal organs were missing. The empty body cavities had been stuffed with old newspapers. State officials maintained that discarding organs after an initial exam is standard practice when they aren't needed for further testing, and the funeral home called the newspaper routine filler. To the family, it looked like the deliberate destruction of evidence. When medical reports contradict each other, public trust evaporates. What started as a tragic local incident evolved into a national symbol of forensic skepticism. Over the following years, public pressure forced several federal and state agencies to reopen the investigation. Yet after reviewing the evidence, every official body returned to the original conclusion: an accidental death. This leaves the Johnson family in a state of emotional limbo. They continue to petition for a murder trial, fighting against a legal system that considers the matter firmly closed. The narrative has split in two. In the eyes of the courts, it is a settled accident. In the court of public opinion, it remains an unsolved murder. If the initial police investigation and autopsy had been rigorously transparent from day one, much of this 10-year battle might have been avoided. Instead, the gaps in the timeline and physical evidence found a permanent home on the internet, where alternative theories keep the case actively debated. When an official ruling fails to align cleanly with the physical realities of the scene, it creates a void, and in that void, a shadow of doubt permanently settles over the pursuit of justice.